Hello, 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 Facebook family. How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome to Bridging Through Conversations. This is Diane, Spirit Love. Just want to make sure this volume is good. Guys, today we're going to be talking about just say it. Just say it. Be who you are. Man, okay, I want to give a disclaimer because I don't know exactly everything that's going to be said tonight. So I just want to give a disclaimer, okay? This platform discusses any and all information that is known to the public and that are opinions of the host and guests. We use sources that are unconventional and conventional. Bridging through conversations is in no way to be offensive to any persons, groups, or organizations. It creates open conversations needed to close gaps in topics others may not be willing to discuss. The information is alleged to others, but are our truths to having an open conversation, guys. We're going to have an awesome time um, tonight with this, okay? Hello, 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 guys. How are you? How are you? How are you? I still ain't put my other grandbabies' pictures up there. I'm gonna have to put their pictures up there. Guys, thank you so very much for coming out. Please, please share, share, share um, this this live tonight. Um, I'm trying something new today again. I'm gonna bring up my Word document and we're gonna talk about this thing tonight. Just say it. You know, a lot of times I think Tasha took something out there. TC knows she put something out there saying, whereas she struggles with actually saying what she wants to say and stuff. Let me fix my that YouTube. Let me fix my lighting here. She struggles with what she would like to say. And I don't know, I think it's maybe in like a lot of times we think that we're gonna hurt people's feelings. We don't never want to hurt people's feelings. Y'all, I'm just trying to get my lighting right over here. I think I done messed up something here. Okay, because it's a little foggy. It's a little messed up over there. Okay. Yeah, sometimes we may feel that we're gonna, offend somebody, but you never want to offend anybody, but you want to be free to say, things that you know, voice your opinion. Y'all, is that like, okay, y'all, let me look at this. That is just a little, see if I could get this thing to clear up a little bit because it look all messy up there. Okay. Let me try this again. Okay, it's still like messed up on there, but we'll go ahead on through with this. But anyway, so what I did, I just did a little write up about this. Tasha should be in a few minutes. Okay, um can we truly be, who we are, right? A lot of times, even like now what's going on in the world today, they always talk about free speech and and stuff like that, but can we really, have free speech? And free speech to me is not like you hurting people's feelings, right? But you being able to voice your opinion, right? And I was talking to someone today, and one thing that I just bless God for is that He made all of us unique people, right? So with us being unique, we all have different opinions on things, right? Some people may not, agree with, what you say, and that's fine because we're totally different people. And I thank God for making all of us uniquely. All of us are uniquely made, and we have different thoughts and different feelings, about certain things. So can we truly be who we are? Who are we, right? A lot of times we struggle from day to day trying to figure out who we are. And when we can't figure out, when we don't know who we are, then a lot of we'll hold things back because we don't know how to vocalize things, because you're always thinking that if you say something, then it's going to make you look bad, or it's going to make someone else feel bad and stuff like that, right? But I just feel like that everybody have an opinion and they should be able to voice their opinion on certain things. Tasha and I was talking the other day when we did the live on when we did the live with the young lady that was a pastor, and how she talked about someone prophesizing to her husband, and then she came back and did an apology. My opinion was that when I looked at it and dissected, I didn't feel like that it was a great apology, right? But her opinion was that it was a great apology. So we just have our different opinions on how we view things, right? But we're still able to say what we need to say on how we feel about a situation, right? So are we moving in the direction of who we are created to be? Right. I used to ask this question like all the time of myself, right? Who am I supposed to be or do in life? Or who am I supposed to be and what am I supposed to do, in life? Can I just say what's on my heart? And just be authentic and unapologetic about it, because it is what I want to say, and how I feel, right? And will it go across good? Sometimes what you say may not go across good to individuals, and sometimes it may come across good to individuals, and then they begin to think about what you said and things, right? But I think that you should always have the free will to voice your opinion. I think that the when we came through the coronavirus situation, we stayed in the house, like so much that we didn't communicate, with a lot of people, and we just so now we have all of this stuff built inside of us that we just need to release. It's just like we have all of these thoughts and all these feelings, all of these things that we desire to do that's just trapped in us, and now we just feel like we want it to explode, right? So I think now that you just need to begin to voice, who you are and what you would like to say. And it says in here that I always like to quote scriptures now, okay? So the word of God tells us that God knitted, shaped us into who we are even before being placed in our mother's womb, right? I always like to quote that scripture because I always like people to be, who you are, be that uniquely person that God made you. But before he placed us, he instilled something in us to do and to be. He had placed something in us. He placed us in us who we are, right? And the things that he desires for us to do in this world, right? While on this earth. Some of us go for years trying to, evaluate, pull and tug, trying to get on the right path of who you are and what you should do, in life, right? And sometimes when you finally figure out, what you want to do, how you want to do it and stuff, and you vocalize that thing, right? You get slapped down, on what you feel that God has designed you to do. You get slapped down with it. And my thing is, or you so uncomfortable, about it, that when you try to walk into who you know that God, I'm going to say who you know that God made you, you let other people, pull you away from that area, in your life. And like I always quote, my Miller son saying that you already know who you are, right? It's just because you're doing it all the time, right? But you just don't want to walk in it because of what somebody else said. You let somebody else downgrade the gift that God has given to you. You let people downgrade the voice that God have given you, right? But when you finally get there, a block, like I say, a block, is placed there. You try to get around. You know how sometimes we know that we're supposed to do certain things in our life, and you just feel like it's just a block, like right in front of us. We just cannot get around that block in our life, and we can't vocalize, what we really want to say to that thing or that individual, or whatever it may be that's blocking, you from getting around to where, that God has designed you or where God wants you to be, right? And but it seems like, help, sometimes you be thinking help just ain't nowhere around. You think you've been calling, you think God has just dissipated, that he's nowhere, around to help you, but he's always there to lead you and guide you into the way that you should be going in. So when you open your mouth, that it'll be the right things to come out, and what you want to say, your opinion, your heart. And sometimes we go in different directions and just say what we want to say, and that's fine too. But I'm here. Okay, Tasha here. Okay, but Okay, I'm sorry. All right. Hey, I see you. Can you
Hey,
hear me?
hey,
All right. How you doing?
good. How are you?
Great. But let me finish this right here. Go ahead and introduce yourself, and I'm gonna finish this right here.
Well, hello, everybody. Happy Monday to you. This is Tasha, aka TC Knows. No, I do not know everything, but I love sharing with you what I do know. And I'm glad about this topic tonight because, boy, this was a hard one for me, but I'm sure Spirit Love is giving y'all some good information. This is going to be a good conversation here.
Yeah, and it is. And basically, what I'm saying is that how we were created to be, a unique person. That all of us are unique. So, what is it? What is it that's keeping us back? I was talking about, what is it that's keeping us back from being who we are and saying, what's on our heart, what we desire, to say, and without, again, without, hurting no one's feelings and nothing like that, but it's coming from your heart, right? And I was telling about how when we was talking about the pastor, and we had different opinions, on how we felt about, what she did, and, and her apologies, right? But we
Mm-hmm.
all have different opinions on things, and so we should be able to be vocal in who, how we feel about things, without always being, like an argument and stuff. We just having a conversation, on
Right.
what you feel, how you feel about something, and how we can come in together and just say, well, that's how you feel about things, right? But I feel this way about things, and but we still can have that conversation, and have that and have a difference of opinion, but still be able to say what you want to say. So what is it? Is this is a continued question about why you can't vocalize yourself, why you can't just say what's on your heart, and not struggle with it. Like you said, I struggle with, being able to say, some of the things that I want to say, right? And I could only talk about me, when speaking, of personal breakthroughs that helped me to come through, to be able to say, what I want to say, right? And not hold it in, but just say it. And then if somebody don't agree with it, it's fine with me, because you might say something that might, change my mind about how even,
Mhm.
how I felt about, what I just said, right? So we should
Right.
be able to be I don't like to say that agree, what is that, agreeable to be disagreeable to be agreeable.
Disagree. Disagree to be a disagree to disagree.
Yeah, agree to disagree. I just think it's a conversation. We're just having a conversation, and you putting something in the pile. I'm throwing something in the pile, and we're gonna
Mm-hmm.
stir that thing up in there, right? And we're just
Right.
gonna figure out, a way to and it's basically, it is the same thing. I just don't like saying it, right? But it's like, I just like saying, it's your opinion and what we do, right? But one thing that I just want to emphasize on with this is that we should never let anyone what is that word, zip our mouth up. How
Yeah.
it used to be a cartoon that came on, and this particular cartoon character had a zipper on their mouth, right? And that's what happened when a lot of people can't express, what they're feeling inside. And I went to a meditation retreat. I'm going to be selfish for a minute right here. I went to a meditation retreat one time, right? And I went many times, but this particular time when I went to this meditation retreat, I had a goal. I had a goal to go there and just let my mind just go out, because it was a beach, and I don't even like the beach. But this particular time, I went out to the beach, and I said, God, I'm just gonna let every heavy load that was holding me down from being a crier to open my mouth and say what I need to say. I'm just going to throw it out into that ocean that I don't like. And when I bring my hands back, I'm going to be able to be who God made Diane, right? And that day, and I have never seen this before. I have never seen this before. We saw multiple rainbows, right? It was so many rainbows out there, and they were beautiful, right? If we look to the right, it was a rainbow there, and then evidently, the rainbow in the middle of it, the clouds was covering it up, but then on the other end, it was there. And then we looked like below the rainbow, and another rainbow had developed up under that rainbow, right? And then the rainbows begin to dissipate, right? They begin to dissipate. And then all of a sudden, the very first rainbow that we saw, it was another rainbow going over the top of it, right? And it was like, it was just so amazing, on there, because it was like when I threw all that stuff out there and I brought my hand back, and I just knew that God had, just released me to be, who I was. And then all of a sudden these rainbows and all this stuff, started coming out, right? And I made it. It was probably about 50 people there, right? And I made that thing like a like I was just so selfish with that thing, that this thing is all about me, right? And I just began to, like start writing, writing something about that rainbow, because it was like one, two, three. It really was like four rainbows that was out there, right? And it was just amazing. It was just amazing, and just a miracle to me that God can do things like that, show you a sign when you ask God for something. Sometimes it might not come right then and there, but then when you ask God for something, it just come immediately, and He show you a sign, and it just remind me of the covenant that God has with us, that that He'll never send rain, and that He'd always be with us and stuff like that, right? But anyway, so I did this little acronym for rainbow, right? To not let anyone like stop me from being able to say the things that that I need to say. And what it is like an encourager, like affirmation to me, right? To say, if I ever get to that point, again, where I feel like that I'm being stopped from being who I am, stop saying what I desire to say, right? That I remember the rainbow, right? And how beautiful it was, right? And I just started writing, and I said, it's just an acronym for rainbow. And it says, remain who you are. That if we would just remain who we are, if we would start studying ourselves and know who we are, right? And just remain that, just stay in that place, right? With strong ambition, right? Because we always, when you finally find out who you are, you're going to be ambitious. You're going to be wanting to run, right? And firmly set your intuition, right? Never allowing yourself to bend towards oppression, right? And the worthlessness from the bitterness of the soiled mouths, right? Because most of the time when you want to say something, this, Tasha, when you want to say something, somebody gonna have something to say, about what you say, right? To make you feel bad about what you said. And then it'll stop you. It'll be like you're gonna pull yourself back, and you're gonna let them entrap you. And your voice would just you would not use your voice anymore, right? So you would just, don't bend towards that area, right? Because there's going to be bitterness and sore mouths, around. That's going to always be. So you're just going to have to be aware, and don't let them put you in that trap, right? That will always try to fade out your beautiful colors, right? Because when I think about each individual that God made, right? I think that since all of us have unique gifts, right? And we're unique individuals, right? I'm just putting them as a rainbow. You just that rainbow, in the sky. And God has placed all of these people in the world with all of this differentness in them, right? That if they don't use what they have, it's just like the rainbow just gonna fade out, right? And when you let people, just stop you from being who you are. So that means the point to this is to never allow anyone to fade your colors out, because we're very colorful people, right? Very colorful people. And when we let people like drown us out, right? And take away from us who we are, it's like we just fade away. You know how you see somebody and they just totally depressed, and their face just look like, just like plain, like they just like boom. It's just like somebody just drained all of the blood, out of you and stuff, right? And that's what it feel like when you can't use your voice, when you can't speak, and you can't say, what's on your heart, and just be who you are, be authentic, and be unapologetic about who you are and what you say, and always be open, though. Always be open to when somebody else say something, to be willing to listen, right? But if you stand firm on who you are, you won't let people like change you and push you around to mold that. So you won't let the people mold you into that who they want you to be. You're going to be continue in who God has made you and stuff. Okay, Tasha, I didn't talk too much. Okay, I didn't talk. But I just like that. I like that, and I'm glad that you brought that we talked about that, so we could bring it, because it's wonderful when we think about, who we are, and that how unique we are, and how so many different arrays that we are, with the rainbow. I don't know who did that. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, little girl. I agree. Just say it. Just say it. Yeah. And just say it. Just be you. Be you. Okay, Tasha.
So you know what? I've had maybe 3 instances or situations this past weekend to where something happened where the topic of tonight came up. And so I'm thinking about the scripture where it says about God, it just went out of my head. But anyway, it's gonna come to me. So one incident, I thought about, and I was like, man, I always struggled with how I said it, because when I said something, it will come out wrong, or it will come out aggressive, or it was just plain old mean, because I was just saying it how I felt it. And all the while, I didn't mean for it to come across like that, but that's just how it came out. And there are times where it came out when there were times when I said something where I was annoyed. Like, for instance, my husband and I, we could get into a tiff. He's wanting to get his point across. I want to get my point across. And sometimes I would say stuff and it would just come out, and I did not watch what I say. And I learned along the way, even though I heard this statement a lot, I didn't understand it when I first started hearing it, that it's not what you say, but it's how you say it so a person can receive it. And so when I started understanding what that meant, I started watching what I say, but that caused another issue for me, because now I wasn't saying the things that I needed to say when I needed to say it, because I was always afraid that I would come out and say it the wrong way, which ultimately led me back to apologize for how I said it, and most of the time for what I said, because now I have said it in a not in a way that, now I didn't intentionally just hurt people, and there were some things where I just intentionally, like going back to my husband and I, husband and wives, they have tiffs, they have arguments, they have fights or whatever, what have you. And sometimes, as wives now, we can be slick at the mouth, and something will come out of our mouths. And then there's husbands, they'll say what they need to say. But sometimes we say stuff to our spouses and we do it intentionally to push their buttons. I know I've done it. Now, I don't know about anybody else that might not want to admit to it, but I know I've done it. And so, but there are other times where I will say something where I did not intentionally, I don't want to intentionally hurt that person's feelings. I mean, there's plenty of situations where my mom and I, had maybe an intense conversation, or, and it ended up to the point where she hurt my feelings and I hurt her feelings. She made me cry, I made her cry. Even with my siblings, Bernine and I, for instance, she and I have had our, ups and downs. And so she said things to me, I've said things to her. Even with my children, I've said things to them, they said things to me. And so right now, I'm in a place where I want to say things to uplift, to encourage, to impact, to influence. And everybody that knows me personally knows that I'm an upbeat and I'm a positive and optimistic person. And so it's like when people see me get upset.
You should come back. Okay.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
back.
Mm-hmm.
So they actually can't believe that I actually get upset. They were like, like one of my nieces, she said one day I came in the house and she was talking to Destiny on the phone, and I was upset about something. And I just flying out of my mouth because of how I was feeling at the time. And I heard her say, "Is that my Aunt Tasha?" Like this, who is that talking? And this is like, yeah, that's mama. Yeah, that's mama. So it's like people that have never seen me get angry, people that have never seen me get upset. It's like they shocked that I actually can get upset because they never see me like that. And so it's been a real struggle for me to say what I need to say when I need to say it, whether it be to my husband, my children, my mom, my siblings, or a coworker, or anything. So I'm learning now to say it when I need to say it, and realizing that I'm not saying this to hurt the person's feelings intentionally, but it's something that I noticed that I want to fix. Even with you and I, Spirit Love, we are growing. Both of us are growing on this stage, on this platform, and doing what we're doing. Because years ago, like you remember when I first approached you about this, we was at a church somewhere. I forgot what we was there for, and I said something to you about it, and but not even knowing that this was going to come out of it. So both of us are doing something that we didn't even think that we would be doing. So, and we're growing in it. So it's like sometimes I be wanting to say stuff, and sometimes I don't say it, and then I'm like, dang, how should I say this? How can I get it across where it can be understood? Because sometimes when you say something, it can come across and you not be understood, and that's where the miscommunication comes in it. So it's a challenge for me, but I work on it, and I keep pushing myself out of my comfort zone to get better and better at communicating effectively and being able to be understood. And when I'm not understood, I try to make it clear that it will come across to the receiver, me being the messenger and just saying what needs to be said.
Need to be said, yeah. Suzanne put while you was talking, Suzanne put this out here, and she put it out there, but I was gonna say something about this too. That sometimes feelings get hurt, and it has nothing to do with what you said. Sometimes we got to think about that. Everybody have different situations that's going on in their life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it don't matter what you say, that it might hurt their feelings because they might have stumped their toe that morning, and you say something and they mad because they stumped their toe. Or people have traumatic things that has happened in their life, and it's just according on what you said, and it might trigger something in it. That's why it's not, you don't really know. Sometimes you don't even really know that you didn't hurt somebody's feelings,
Right.
or you didn't, said something out of the way, because you don't know that person's story, right? So, but it's still good to say what it's still. I think it's still good to say what you want to say, because we can't read minds. We are not mind
Right.
readers, and we don't know exactly what's going on with the individual unless you done told you have said something, to us. Now you say it, and then they tell you, what it is. When I was young, so whatever happened, and you just brought that up again, and then we could have a conversation, right? But because I
Mm-hmm.
said it does not mean that I said it to, offend you because of what you went through, as a child. And I think that's a lot of times why a reason why people won't say nothing, to individuals, because if I know something, if you've told me something, whereas, I'm not gonna, if you tell me something, the majority of the time it's going to go to the grave with me, because I don't tell people business and stuff,
Right.
right? But if I know that if I want to say something and I already know your story, I'm not going to say it, or either I'm going to place that thing in the back of my mind, and I'm going to figure out a way to say it that's not going to hurt your feelings, or not going
Yeah.
to make you bring that traumatic thing that happened to you back up and make you cry or something like that. I'm not going
Yeah.
to do that, but I'm going to try my best to figure out a way to say it, because I'm thinking, I done been my voice been like for so long. I want to
Mm-hmm.
say this. I want to say this. I want to say what I want to say, right? I want to
Right.
say, so I'm going to figure out, a way to bring it across that would not hurt your feelings. But I think that we all need to think about, or always have it on our mind that, you might have had a great childhood, right? You might have had a great experience coming up and stuff, right? Excuse me, but everybody didn't have that. So when you say things, you really have to be careful what you say, especially again if you know what they went through. But I don't think you should be, your voice should be in prison
Mm-hmm.
because you struggling on how you want to say it. Just put it back in that mind and just say it. I'm like Suzanne now, that I just wanna. If I got something on my mind, I want to say it.
Right. Well, let's flip it. Let's do it on the let's flip it right quick. So I want to say this to somebody that may come across this live and look at the replay, and Now, for you young people out there, y'all young people got some mouths on y'all. Good Lord. I have come across some young people. Now, let me just go ahead and say this. I know this young lady, and she was quiet, but she's not quiet anymore. And she is saying things that I did not realize she would say. And I was like, I'm seeing her in a different light. It's not bad though, because I'm glad this young lady is speaking up. I'm glad she's speaking up. And I'm sharing this with you because now that I am learning myself, since I've been out of church, I'm learning myself more now outside of church than I did when I was in church. So when I say things, it's a cuss word that comes out of my mouth that I wasn't doing before because I was scared to say it because of how I was raised. And I thought that if I said that, then it's like I could hear, you know, my mom's voice in the back of my head. Now, you know, she shouldn't be talking like that. You can't have blessings and cursings coming out the same mouth. And I'm like, so, and the reason why I'm sharing this is because I know that there's a better way to say things. I know it is. And it seemed like I'm reverting back to a young Tasha, like the Tasha that didn't get to say all of this stuff when she was going through stuff and she didn't get to express herself because she would cut it off. She would like stop it and just like push it down. So it's like now I'm saying, and I think I mentioned this to you, Spirit Love. We was, having a talk, conversation on the phone. And I was saying, I said, shoot. I said, I'm saying all these words and I ain't talked like this in so long. And it's just like my children be like, Mama, what in the world is going on with you? And I'm like, I don't know. I said, just coming out. I said, I'm just in a place now where I'm gonna say it. And if I hurt your feelings, I'm sorry. If it comes out wrong, I'm sorry. But I'm gonna say it. And then it's like I'll walk away like, I don't care how you feel. Like, I don't care what you think. I don't even care. And I'm like, God, I don't want to be like that. I don't like the way that feel. So that's why this topic, it just kept like going on in my mind. And I'm like, shoot, I need to repent for a lot of stuff that I don't say the last few 6 months.
You know what you sound like? I was looking at this show the other day, and you sound like this young man was drunk. And you know they say, and you know what they say about when you drink and that it's just
It's
a
so
truth serum, right? That you just doing stuff that you really wanted to do anyway, and stuff. And that's what it sounds like to me that what you're saying is that it's just something that you've been wanting to do anyway. And
yeah.
then you just give an excuse, you stopped going to church so you could just do what you wanted to do, right? But
But
you
you
could have
know what?
stayed in church. You could have stayed in church and did that.
Look,
But
it's some folk now that's staying in church and they doing it. But you know what? I want this, and this is how I feel, and this is the truth. This is the truth. I did not feel guilty about it. I did not feel guilty about it. And I think it started some years ago. Jeremiah was turning 6, and Vernon and I was at Walmart. It was on the Walmart on North Tryon. They had just opened up, and it was during the holiday season. And so we went to Walmart. And so this lady, she didn't look like me, but this lady, when I was parking the car, I was trying to come in the parking lot. And it was so crowded, especially during that time of the year. And so the lady, I didn't mean to have my light shining in her face. It was the way she was, positioned in her car. And it was the way I was positioned in my car. And so I got a parking space, parked the car, was backing up, and she called me a B. She was like, "You old black B." I ain't say nothing at first. I ain't say nothing. So Vernon say, Tasha, just back the car up. Because I had forgot I was backing the car up for a moment. And I started to get out the car while the car was still backing up. And so Vernine was like, get in the car. Stop. Just leave it alone. I left it alone. Went out of my mind. We going out. Get out the car, going in the store. So the lady parks her car. She gets out, walks towards the car, and she was like, "You calling me out of my name again? You black? You in? And it's just like something just went off in me because this is something that I would have never ever done, and I've never ever done this until this moment, and I just flipped. And so this is Neen telling me the story after all of this happened because I must have had an out of body experience because all of these words was like flying out of my mouth that people were not that she was not used to me saying. And so she was talking on the phone to my other sister, and they was like, "Who is that talking? Who is that doing all this cussing?" And Vernine was like, "That's Tasha." And my sister was like, "No, that's not Tasha. That's Vernine." And Vernine was like, "No, you talking to Vernine. That's Tasha doing all of that." And they couldn't believe it. And this is another thing that shocked me. It was an elder, a senior, a grandmother with her grandchildren when I was doing all of this, responding to this lady because of how she came at me. Now, that was one of those moments where that was not a just say it moment. Let me just put it like that. That was not a just say it moment. That's an example of a not a just say it moment. And I had one of those moments.
You know, Suzanne just put this out here, and this going in what you're saying too. It's harder for me not to say something than it is for me to speak freely. I will speak freely, right? And it made me think about that when you like I said earlier, when you not yourself, like for an example, okay, you said that you reverted back to Tasha, right? But why did you leave Tasha? I think that when we start going to church, when people start going to church and things, right? I don't know why people just forget about who they are, right? And I can understand if you were doing some things that you want to be delivered from, right? Like if you were alcoholic or drug addict, and stuff like that, right? But you still had a personality, right?
Right.
You had these addictions, but you still have a personality. And I don't think that you should change who you are, right? So if you reverted back to that person, why did you ever leave that person?
Because of to how the church made it for a person not to want to be themselves because of what was being portrayed.
When you say but be betrayed, what do you mean? Like
Okay, for instance,
perfection, which ain't gonna never happen until you dead. What you mean?
they talk about the word and how it's. Let me think of a scripture. They make it seem like you can't do anything, like you can't be yourself because you got to be this upright,
Perfect, perfect. Just going to say perfect.
perfect person. You can't have no blemishes. You can't have this and you can't have that. Everything when you come into church, everything got to be right. And I'm gonna say this and then I got to go. But everything got to be right. So that's how I felt. My father was a pastor, my mom was a first lady. So I'm this child growing up in this home, where I can't do certain things and certain things I could do. But then when I get in church, I gotta be a certain way because my father is a pastor you know, and it's already a saying out there about PK kids that we off the chain.
They
You
just who
know,
they are. You just who you are. I was looking for Suzanne said something in her book. Well we talked about. Where's that book? Um, she said she said something in this book about that, about being, like church and being. I hope she's still out there so she could say it because I can't remember exactly. Haters and does. What did she say? Taking my life back part. Like When you let me see, what did she say? How did I allow this? Okay, like when she was saying, how did she allow, certain things to happen in her life? Take it. That's exactly what I do. I must do what's necessary to regain my sense of self as well as my personal identity, right? Huh? Okay, she had to jump off. But in we had Suzanne on here not too long ago, and she talked about the life diet, and with Tasha talking about, how she reverted back, to who she was, and in Suzanne's book, she wrote about how that's how she had to regain who she was, right? And I think that a lot of times when we get into certain things and we start doing things, we just forget about who we are. And I think and that happened, with me, and that the retreat thing that I was telling you about, that helped me to come back to who I wanted to be. I wanted just, you know I didn't want to. Church is good. Don't get me wrong. Church is good. I enjoy church, but I don't want it to be so that I have to be like a robot, right? That I just can't be, who I am, and things. And when she wrote this, she said, how did I allow this to happen? When did I forget who I was and what I expected to accomplish in my life? What did I forfeit? Why did I forfeit my own dreams to build another man's empire? And this is she talking about when she was at a church, and she just lost herself, in the church, and forgot about who she was. And that's part of just say it, of not being able to, vocalize yourself. You so trapped up in to this thing. And it don't even have to be a church. It could be your job. It could be your family. It could be you thinking something, totally different, is something total. You could be thinking that something is going on that's not there, to make yourself pull back from who you are, because somebody said something, somebody did something, or you were in a place of a work. Because sometimes you could be working somewhere and that job just not for you, right? And you could get caught up in that, and just lose yourself in that, and just doing everything that somebody is telling you to do, and never verbalizing the gift that God has given you, the knowledge that He have given you, to uplift this company that you're in, uplift the church that you're in, uplift your family, uplift yourself, period, and things. So you get lost in that because you think that you should be one way, but God made us one way. Wait a minute, that we should be one way that somebody else want us to be, but God made us the way He wanted us to be. And again, like I said earlier, we are individual people. All of us have a uniqueness about us that's going to help somebody else. We can't just go around and be a puppet, or either try to melt into someone else to be like someone else. Just be you. Now, one thing that I have seen since this COVID, um, we have come through this COVID pandemic, is that I see that a lot of people are doing things that they probably thought that they would think that they would never have done, right? They've come out, into some. It's like when we were in for the coronavirus, it's like we was in a cocoon, and we were being formed and made, into to something that God had designed us to be, right? And when we came out of this COVID, bam, you just like up, you just open up, to who you were, and you're that great butterfly flying around, being who God had designed you to be. So sometimes, you know what I be thinking, guys? I be thinking that this Corona thing might have done some good if you would have went in it with a positive attitude, right? That you go inside your house and you start inventing stuff. You reinvent yourself, or either just find out, who you are, and come out, come out shining and do what God has designed you to do. And that right there is what happened a lot with a lot of people, because if you notice, a lot of these places are looking for people to work because a lot of people started their own business, found out exactly who they were, started their own business, and not working under someone else. They working up under themselves. They doing what they were designed to do. So when we say just say it, we're just saying really and truly just for you to be your authentic self. Just be who God made you, because you really can't be nobody else. You can't be nobody else. You can try your hardest, to be somebody else. Like for example, my sister and I, we could try, even though we're sisters, we could try our best to try to be, each other, but we're totally different people, totally different and doing different things, in life. I can't do what she do. She a cake baker. I ain't no baker. She bake cakes. I just don't do that. I make things work, like teach things. That's what I like to do, and being a chaplain. But and she don't like that part of it. She like doing what she do. So we're totally different people. We're unique people in our own way. So just say it. Just be who you are. Be who you are, and do who you are, and don't let anyone pull you out. I had this other I know I'm trying to, but I'm still sending my book out there. But this other a voice. I did this the one about I did one about your voice, right? Let me find it, and I'm gonna read this poem to you. Your voice. I should know where every one of these things are, but I don't. There it is on page 45. That we are criers, each and every one of us, have a voice, and we're criers. And when we don't use our voice, and we don't just say it and be authentic, somebody is missing out on something, because all of us is here for somebody. We're here to do something for somebody in somebody's life, right? So this particular poem is just a voice, right? And it says, there is a voice that is calling out to you, urging you to remember that you have a purpose you were created for while on this side, right? A bold voice that inspires to move you forward, a voice that affirms the purpose within you. Open your mind, release your heart, move towards your voice. Move towards your voice and just say it. Just be who you are. And if you think that what you're getting ready to say is gonna hurt someone, just put it in the back of your mind and reword it a different way. Because again, we don't know what individuals are going through. Everybody has gone through some kind of trauma, in their life, and we never want to hurt, anybody's feeling, make anybody feel bad. But we do want to be able to voice our opinion, voice ourselves. Okay, so guys. Thank you so much for coming out. I pray that somebody got something. Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you. Thank all that came out. And guys, self. Sudden Epiphanies Life Force. Go out on Amazon. It's out on Amazon, okay? Guys, have an awesome one. Take care of yourself and be awesome out in this world, and be who God has designed you to be, okay? Be who God has designed you